In this episode of Beyond Hot Wheels, we're going to take a look at a diecast brand that, in my opinion, is simultaneously one of the most amazing and most infuriating brands in the market. This is, of course, Greenlight Collectibles. And before we get to the infuriating aspect, we're going to try to focus on the amazing aspect. So like Auto World that we looked at in the last episode, Greenlight is primarily focused on American cars. They have done cars and trucks, let's say that. They have done a huge variety of different cars from different eras, and all different sorts, trucks and uh, campers and just all kinds of different things. Next to Hot Wheels itself and Matchbox, Greenlight probably has more different castings than any other diecast brand. Um, and they've done some really cool things, like if you're a fan of the Ford Bronco, they have different generations of the Ford Bronco that they have put out at various points in time, and they have done some absolutely fantastic versions of all of them. And this is a pretty unique thing that, like I said, Hot Wheels has done this kind of thing, but uh, Greenlight has done it in a at a level of detail that it goes well beyond anything that Hot Wheels has ever done. And so here, we've seen a quick run through of the various different Broncos that they've put out. There's probably some that I'm missing, but so what do you get with a Greenlight car? Uh, from a diecast attribute perspective, it's a metal body. It is a metal base. You get rubber tires. You'll get model accurate wheels. You may or may not get lensed headlights, and you may or may not get lensed taillights. So this particular model has lensed headlights, but it has painted taillights. The models will always roll, although they may not be the smoothest rollers in the world, and you may get one that has bent axles or something, and it won't roll all that great. But it is they will typically roll. They do not have suspension, but they often do have opening parts and hoods, and of course I pick up one that I'm going to have a challenge opening the hood on. Let's try this one. So opening hoods, and then every once in a while, if it's maybe a station wagon, you'll get an opening tailgate. So, from attributes perspective, that's about it. Like I said, it's mostly American cars. They do the occasional Japanese car like this Datsun 510, and they do some Volkswagens like this VW Golf, and they actually have a whole series that they do on Volkswagens. But other than that, they are primarily American cars and trucks, of course. So, if you're going to go to the store and buy Greenlight, you'll find that they have a broad selection of separate series that they make available. Each series is themed in some way. So this is the Hot Pursuit series, and each release of the series will have 6 cars. Um, and then sometimes on the back they will list the 6 cars. Some series do this, some series do not. They are not consistent with that. But so this Hot Pursuit, this is series 40. So this is a very long running and very popular series of Greenlight. And obviously, if there's this is series 40, so there's 6 cars in each series. That means that they have put out 240 cars in the Hot Pursuit series. They have the Black Bandit series, which is typically completely blacked out cars. This is the only example that I had in the package. This is actually a green machine, so this is a Greenlight Chase. and normally, or the stock version of the regular issue version of this car is completely blacked out. So Black Bandit's a pretty cool series. Barrett Jackson, which is one of my favorite series. This is based on the Barrett Jackson auction, so they will reproduce the car that is sold in the auction. This one again is a green machine, and this is a very cool series because it has information about the car and then it tells you how much it's sold for at the auction, which is really cool. They have the Estate Wagon series, which is, as you might imagine, is different wagons, and another pretty cool series that has a whole bunch of very interesting cars in it. And the Anniversary series, which is for different brands, they put out a release that commemorates some anniversary in that related to that brand. So in this case, it is Checker. So this was put out for the 60th anniversary of Checker. That is the manufacturer of this vehicle. And again, this is a 6-car set. This is an example of one where they do not put the list of other cars available in the set on the back, which I think is a really strange thing that they do, and it seems like a really huge missed opportunity to me. But maybe they just want to dedicate this to this artwork for this. I don't know, but I think this Anniversary series is a really cool series. And then also, this is an example of another chase. This is a raw chase. So you have the green machines, and then you have the raw chases. And then green machines come in two forms. They come this style with the wheels that are green, and then they have green machines, of which I have never actually pulled a green machine out of a case. I have only ever pulled green wheeled green machines, and I have quite a few of those. I personally don't collect chases, which is why these are still in the package. But otherwise, I open everything, and that's why the only things I have in packages are green machines for the most part. So the Hobby Shop series is another very cool series. In this series, you'll get a car of some sort along with some kind of accessory. In this case, it's a figure. Sometimes it'll be something like surfboards or an extra set of wheels, or who knows what. A lot of times it is a figure, which is kind of cool. But in this series, they do put the list of cars on the back, which is nice. And then a brand new series that they just started coming out with. This is Series 1, is the Fire and Rescue series. So like the Hot Pursuit series where they do police cars, in this series they're doing fire liveries on fire vehicles. Greenlight doesn't really have any full fire engine castings, so this series is mostly limited to things like Jeeps and pickup trucks and brush trucks and things along those lines, more than true fire engines. At least at this stage, I think it would be really cool to see them do full fire engines, but they haven't done that to this point. So here you can see the selection of things that are available in this series. Another interesting series, which seems to be really popular with a lot of people, is the Hitch and Tow series. So in this case, you get a vehicle and then a trailer of some sort. So this one is very cool, a Jeep Gladiator with the Airstream Land Yacht Safari trailer, which is pretty awesome. And then the other one that I recently picked up was one that came with this Ford Bronco and then a boat. And the boat's actually pretty cool. It's a fairly detailed boat which has these removable covers, and it's actually the boat's actually much nicer than I really expected. So that's pretty cool. I haven't been a huge collector of this series just because I don't really have a whole lot of room for things like trailers, but it's a pretty neat series. And then another one that is a very common series is the Hollywood series. If you've ever encountered Greenlight in, say, a Walmart, you've probably encountered the Hollywood series because this is the only series that they carry there. And so the Hollywood series is obviously based on some, TV show or movie vehicle, so they'll reproduce the vehicle out of that TV show or movie and put it out as a Greenlight release. Again, it's a six car release, and this is another series where they do not list the other cars on it. So I mentioned these are available in Walmart. Greenlight is also now available through Targets, although they're very rare from what I've seen in Targets. Targets will get various different distributions of Greenlight. So I have found Hollywood at Target, but I've also found some of the others. I found Anniversary Series, and I have found the Norman Rockwell series, which is another very interesting series that they do. I believe that this is a Norman Rockwell release. I don't have any in the package, but it's a pretty cool series as well. So you may find other series there, but they don't have like a very thorough selection of stuff that they keep on the rack in Target. So it's always very limited. The other place where you can get Greenlight in the United States is Hobby Lobby, and then if you're lucky enough to have a good Diecast hobby dealer in your area, they probably carry Greenlight. And so along with their main 6-car releases that they put out in individual series, they do also do hobby exclusive releases. So this one is a Challenger, the Challenger Deputy that they have put out. So a hobby exclusive release. This is not part of a 6-car series. It would just be maybe a one-off, or maybe they do a couple different cars together, and then these are sold through hobby dealers. You will not find these in Target, Walmart, or Hobby Lobby. You have to get them from a hobby specialist dealer. So what else makes Greenlight amazing is not just the variety of castings that they do, but the way that they do them is, in a lot of ways, there's something about them that, for me, when I think about, if you ask me the question, what is the most realistic looking diecast brand, my answer is always going to be Greenlight. They're not going to be necessarily the most detailed diecast brand or the highest quality diecast brand, but for some reason, there is something about the way that they do the cars that they always just seem to be the most realistic. And if you ever look at, see somebody take a photo of a diorama with, a car in there, and it fools you into thinking that it's real, on a glance, it's probably going to be a Greenlight car. And I think it's just, something about the paint and the clear coat that they use, and then the way they do the chrome detailing and various other things. The black wash that they do in the grills, and I don't know, there's just something about the way that they do their models that they come out, to me, looking like the most realistic 1/64 scale models out of everything. And again, I'm not saying that they're the most detailed, because they're not, although they are very detailed, and we'll take a look at it in a little bit at some of the the type of detailing that they do. But they just, like I said, it's just this realistic, and it's this weird kind of thing. I don't fully know how to explain it, but it is, for me, if you ask me that question, what is the most realistic diecast brand, I'm going to answer Greenlight. Again, not the most detailed or the most or the highest quality. We'll talk about that in a minute. Definitely not the highest quality, but always, definitely the most realistic. And they just do some really, really cool and unusual vehicles. Like this one is one of my favorite Greenlight castings, and this is the Studebaker Champion. And nobody else will do this car. I mean, maybe Hot Wheels has a version of this casting out there. I've never seen one, but it is, it is just such an unusual, and just to me, it's just such a cool car. And Greenlight has put this car out in a number of different versions. They have done a whole series of these La Carrera Panamericana racing cars, and the Studebaker is just a fascinating car that runs in this race, and to this day, even though these were manufactured in 1953, 1954, to this day, this is the preferred car to run in the La Carrera Panamericana, which is an amazing thing, and it makes it a fascinating car. And that's another very cool series. So I had done a rundown of the series that I have. There are many other series that Greenlight has. They also have series for larger trucks and things along those lines, SD trucks and HD trucks. I don't actually have any of those castings because they're too large for me. This is the largest of the Greenlight castings that I have, but this is still pretty cool. Just a cool pickup truck with a camper shell on it, and it's kind of neat and something you will not see from pretty much any other diecast brand. So that's pretty awesome. All right, so I talked about realistic, and I was saying that Greenlight's not the most detailed brand, but that said, there are a lot of really excellent details that Greenlight includes in their models. So we're going to take a look at some Mercury Cougars, which is another of my favorite Greenlight castings, and we'll see the variations that they have put into this casting, which is very very cool, and it makes collecting Greenlight a lot of fun because you think, okay, it's just a Cougar, and most companies will have one casting for it, and then maybe they'll change the paint or they'll change the wheels or something along those lines. But with Greenlight, they change a lot more than that. So here you can see that you have two Cougars, and on the bottom we can see that this one is a 1968 Mercury Cougar XR7 GTE, and this one is a 1970 Mercury Cougar. So this is a 68 Cougar, and this is a 1970 Cougar. And you can see, even on the side panel, on this one, it's smooth. On this one, there's a line here. This is not a printed line. This is a cast-in line. So this is, even though these have the same tooling number, so on Greenlights, there is a tooling number on the bottom. So you'll see here, this is GL161A, and this one is also GL161A. So that's the tooling number. But these are not the same casting. They definitely have a significant difference. And then the front end will be different. The hood is different. They're completely different. The base is the same, and maybe that's the tooling number is primarily for the base. It doesn't necessarily apply to the body, but you can see that the rear end is also completely different. And if we open the hood on these, we will likely see that the engine is probably different. Yep, it's completely different. And we'll see that if we look at all of these different variations. So this one is going to be hard to read, 1970 Mercury Cougar Eliminator 428 CJ. So yellow. It has the cast-in body lines here. It has the Eliminator graphics and a different front end and different tail, even from this one. At least the paint is, the way they treated the paint on it is different. But so we have this one, which is an Eliminator, and we have this one in blue, which is also an Eliminator. If we look at this one, it is a 1969 Mercury Cougar Eliminator. And so we can compare. The front ends are different, and the rear end is maybe a little bit different. But if we look under the hood, again, the engine is different. And one more example here. So this one is, again, a 1970 Mercury Cougar Eliminator with the same graphics, the same casting, the same hood, and front end, and then the same rear end. But in this case, if we look under the hood, we will again see that the engine is different. So there was some, I don't know, different trim level or something between these two versions. So this was the, what was this? So this was the 428 CL versus this one, which was just a standard Cougar Eliminator. Obviously the wheels are different as well, but I mean, so that's a pretty cool thing, right? If you're a fan of these cars, I mean, there's nobody else out there that's going to do, this level of variation between the castings. And this is the aspect of Greenlight that I absolutely love. And if you watch my channel and you watch my videos, you'll hear me complain about Greenlight a lot, because the brand has some pretty significant quality control issues, but nobody else does these kind of subtle little variations. And in a case where you have a car that externally it looks like it's just a recolor, with different wheels, but it's more than that. There is, if you're an aficionado of cars, nobody else gives you this level of variation. And so I don't know. This, like I said, it's one of the most amazing diecast brands out there, and then at the same time, it's one of the most infuriating. So we have to talk about that, because I can't give a video about Greenlight without talking about their quality control, because they have major issues with their quality control. If you're going to collect Greenlight, you have to be prepared to overlook a fair number of issues. Like as I've been showing these models, you may have even noticed that there are some things that are a little bit off on some of them. Like this one, you can see that the hood is not perfect, but they have a lot of very common issues. Like the windows are they have you get fingerprints and smudges and cloudiness in the windows that's just persistent across different models. And I didn't select any models specifically to show the type of issues that they have, but it's a fairly common thing. It's not at all uncommon to get a Greenlight model where a piece, so they have separate pieces for bumpers and these things, what have you, that give you all these really cool details on there. But it's not uncommon to get one where you open the package and then a piece will fall off. And you'll have, like I said, smudging, or you'll have paint issues, or you'll have a hood that doesn't open or close correctly, or who knows? There's always a long list of different quality issues. And if you're really nitpicky and really, and you want your models to be absolutely perfect, Greenlight's going to drive you insane. And you'll see little things like, the windows don't fit right, or like on here, I think this one maybe is okay, but like this Ford GT casting, a lot of times the tail lights are not dealt with correctly. They'll leave bits of flashing on there, or on the inserted lens headlights, you'll get bits of flashing that they don't cut away. And I probably maybe should have, since I'm emphasizing this as a potential issue, I probably should have picked some models that show it more clearly. But anyone who collects Greenlight is going to be aware of these issues. You do just have to be prepared that you're going to get, especially if you order them online, you're going to get some percentage of models that simply have weird and annoying quality issues. They're typically pretty minor, realistically. Like if you get something and the bumper falls off, it's really, it's a little bit of super glue. You just glue it back on. It's not that big a deal. If you get a paint issue or something, that's a little more problematic. If you get an opening hood that doesn't quite sit right, that's a little bit more problematic. And then the window situation for me is by far the most annoying thing. When you get smudged windows that you can't do anything about because you have to take the casting apart in order to clean them. That gets to be pretty annoying. But anyway, it's just something to be aware of. And any Greenlight collector is going to be going to be aware of that. But then it's just an awesome brand, and like ignoring the quality control, and that's what you have to do. You just have to ignore it because they seem to not be getting any better with it. But if you ignore it, they do just awesome stuff. Like, so if you're a fan of California Highway Patrol, they have put out the California Highway Patrol livery on numerous different vehicles. So this is I believe Ford Crown Victoria, in California Highway Patrol. You have this really cool Ford pickup truck in the same Highway Patrol livery. You have the Dodge Diplomat in the this is a variation on the Highway Patrol livery, and this is an example. You can see this one has these smudged windows that are so annoying. With Greenlight, but still, it's cool. You get that, and then you have this Ford Mustang in Highway Patrol livery again, and this very cool Bronco in the Highway Patrol. So it's I don't know. It's just such a great brand to collect. It's an amazing brand. The subtle little details that they put into some of the models are fantastic. And if you can just overlook the quality control issues, and don't be too completely picky about what you get, because if you're gonna get things like this, and if you let this kind of thing really bother you, the brand will just drive you insane. But if you can overlook it, because once you put this on the shelf, for display, and you're not looking at it up close, you're not going to notice these kind of things. And when I do my videos and I'm showing off the cars, I will get frustrated with the cars on the video. But once I'm not on the video and I'm just have the cars, it's like I find that it really doesn't bother me as much as it does when I'm looking at it with going over it with a fine tooth comb. But it is it is part of the problem of the brand, and so you do need to be aware of it. And otherwise, it's an awesome brand. If you're not familiar with it, I recommend checking it out. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with it already, but I figured I would do an episode in this series on it and show off some of this cool stuff. And thank you for watching.